Welcome to the stream. I guess I've started the stream. I guess this is happening. Welcome. Just let me get my fucking link out, huh? Why don't you get your fucking ass back down in your chair and let me get my fucking link out, okay? You want so much from me. What's up? What's up, bad horsey? I'm gonna talk about my relationship with Mr. Girl. You knew I would stream today? I wasn't going to stream. But you guys have come through with me through this whole journey. And, hey, it's a real public bash. It's a real... Everyone's invested. Everyone's on the edge of their seat, and they gotta learn what's the newest and latest. I can go over my post. I think this is gonna be kind of an emotional stream. How emotional can I get? Is it gonna be the same as when I'm sitting there just looking at myself in the mirror, just thinking, just laying in bed? I agree with the comment someone left that Max is doing you dirty. Maybe. Don't you just love Tom Breer, the sight-reading pianist that got into a car accident? Well, this is an AI recreating and remastering of one of his compositions, his very first. And this was what was in my head just now, and I was like, I need to find this for this moment. You're never gonna find anyone as dramatic as me. You think that Mr. Girl is the real genuine article? No. That's me. What a dramatic pianist. What a dramatic ragtime pianist. He could bring life into anything. And he got hit by a car and it was all taken away from him. Taken away from us. Sounds like Gershwin. Tom Breer. He's famous like 15 years ago for sight reading. This was a composition of his he did while sight reading the Super Mario World ending, having never heard it or seen it before ever. And that was literally the notes that he played, and it was transcribed and then played again by an AI for clearer audio. Because all of his old recordings are all shit. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. So lately I've been comparing myself to Leah, Lav. I've been trying to get Max to answer to me. I called into his hotline, kept asking him, what is the difference between me and Lav? Why do you have more boundaries with me than you have with her? And he's like, I refuse. Well, he didn't answer then. He just avoided it. So I kept pressing him on it because that conversation really didn't go anywhere. So I kept pressing him on it. So I made some posts, some Reddit posts, because he won't talk to me about my relationship with him in private. Just now, I got some better clarification on his boundaries, and I understand them more. This is something that I've wanted from him since the very start of our relationship. And it's been like pulling teeth. And I feel like I've freaked him out. And I really had to go that far to get some fucking clarity from him. Part of me like looking back, it was always unclear. Part of me feels like I scared him away. Would that have been fucking good? Well, I understand our relationship now. He's insisted over and over and over that the boundaries of the relationship are for me, to protect me, for my own well-being, for the benefit of me. And that always made me feel like he really cared about me. And it made me have a lot of trust for him. So when he started mixing, excuse me, let's go back. So with me, he didn't want to mix personal and public, career, streaming, and he had boundaries around that. And that made perfect sense to me. And I felt safe about that. And it made me feel like he was looking out for me in a certain way. Basically, it made me feel good about everything that he wants the relationship to be. And then he's like, so he also had similar boundaries with Leah, Lav. He said that he does not want, and he used to say that he didn't want to have he he didn't want to talk about her on his stream because they have a private relationship. He doesn't want to taint that. He doesn't want to ruin it, and he doesn't want to hurt her. So they had a private relationship, and he had a position that he was not going to talk about her on his stream. And that coincided with me understanding my relationship with him. So it made perfect sense. It was consistent. And I was like, okay, so it makes sense. So with her, he has this private relationship, and with me, he has this public one, and the two shall never mix. And it's for everyone's safety and everyone's well-being. So I just trust him. Then he makes an announcement. I think I'm going to do a rap song with Leah. And I'm like, what? So what's going on in my head when that happened? When he made that announcement, is that he is desperate to get her back in his life because she had, rejected him. And that was how he was going to do it. And I was like, well, that's not ideal. I guess I understand. And then he started having a podcast with her, and he's been doing that. And since then, I've been becoming more and more anxious, and understood our relationships and understood the boundaries way less. So if it's not harmful to her to have both a public and a private relationship, then why is it harmful to me? And it really undermines this idea and this notion that he sold to me so adamantly, that the boundaries are for me. How could it be boundaries that are for me if it's not harmful to Leah? It doesn't seem like because if it would be in my best interest, why would it not be in her best interest? I guess in a way you could say it's like it's in my best interest the same way that you can apologize and say, I'm sorry that you feel that way. It's in my best interest because I don't care. Because he doesn't care. It was Leah who inspired me to go on the Mr. Girl hotline and start streaming. Because as soon as she went on the Mr. Girl hotline, she immediately had a giant tour. She went on Destiny's stream, and her popularity skyrocketed. And all she had to do, from what I saw at the moment, I know that now I know more context. But in that moment, I was like, all she had to do was go on the Miss Girl hotline and be provocative and interesting. So I was like, I'm gonna go on the Mr. Girl hotline. I'm gonna be in a fucking dog cage. I'm gonna be provocative and interesting. Since then, I've learned it wasn't quite that simple. She had a prior engagement with Destiny, whatever. But that's why that was my thought process. And then Max takes her under his wing. And really, I'm just following in her footsteps. And then he adopts her, and that was confusing for me. So before he adopts her, either before or coinciding with, like, basically at the same time, I did my call-in where I did the Halloween call-in where I made a bath of primordial ooze, because he said that he had begrudgingly birthed Leah and she had spawned from his primordial ooze, and I was like, that's what I want. I want to be spawned as a content creator out of the primordial ooze. I want to be birthed. So I made my big vat of pumpkin guts and oatmeal and bath bombs, and I ladled it on myself, and I went on a stream. So yeah, him insisting that the boundaries are for me in my best interest, it just always made me feel like he cared so much about me. And he's act like he cared a lot about me too, in various moments. I'm not going to listen to what Lav is saying. I'm going to listen to what Max said to me. So I made a post. Now, I'm the type to, when I figure shit out and I become aware of my emotions and I become aware, and I'm doing this more and more, becoming aware. And a big part of that is empowered by Max. That growth in me is empowered by him, which really is a big part of this. Because for me, my relationship to him is not just about the content, it's about healing from abuse. So I saw him as someone who was putting himself in the role of a figure of stability for me, and his boundaries are for me. He was a ballast for me to rely on for emotional support and in growing in that way. So I figured me lashing out at him, me becoming uncomfortable with his boundaries, me being aware of my uncomfortability and these complicated feelings, that's what my relationship with him is all about. That's why I am attached to him. That's why I wrote Becoming Max. That's what that's about. But it's not the case. That's not how he saw it. He was freaked out by me talking about how I felt and expressing my rage. He acted as though I was tearing down a gift that he was giving me. Basically, it's like a veiled threat. Like, you are not appreciating what I'm doing for you, as if I have to. I felt like I was safe because I felt like I didn't have to appreciate him. That's why he made me feel safe. But I guess I do have to appreciate him. So my attitude towards him is changing and changed. Thanks, I like this jacket too. And I've always done this where I talk about how I feel about him, and I use him as an experimental place or safe place to do that, a tool for doing that. That's been my relationship to him the whole time. And he has either never seen it that way, or in this moment tonight, he decided that he's never seen, because he's never defined the boundaries to me. He's never defined the relationship to me until tonight. Until last time I talked to him on his hotline, he finally said he's a mentor. And now he even stepped back from that, and he's like, I'm like a guidance counselor. And the type of support that I described, having relied on him for, which I genuinely did. He's like, oh, that's not what I'm doing for you. Huh. But that's very good for me to know. It's really unfortunate that he wouldn't have that conversation with me in DMs. And it would have been so much easier, and I wouldn't have had to go and be so dramatic and go to extremes to express myself, to pull that out of his fucking mouth. I wouldn't have had to be so dramatic. Wouldn't have got all this fucking content out of it, baby. Yeah, but he's not going to have that. He's gonna force me to have that in public because he has no other choice. Which is, that's also what he said about Leah. That's what he said about Leah when she forced him to talk about her privately on his, publicly on his stream. He had the position, I'm not going to talk about you on my stream, and she would force his hand, and then he would do it. Except when he did that, he didn't have this look of contempt in his face, just like he did earlier tonight. And I think a big part of that is me comparing myself to Leah, and something about that really makes him want to shut me down. And it's not for me. It's for him. He said that he sees. He said that he'll if I force him to have these conversations in public, then he'll have them. But at least in public, then he's safe, because if he were to have that conversation about our relationship in private, in DMs, then that could make him look bad, and that it's like a risk. So my relationship with him is a risk. It can only be negotiated in public, and me doing that makes him feel like I'm tearing down the relationship. So that's good. I've outgrown him in this way that I've been using him for, in the way that I've been using him against his consent. Well, now that it's clear, now that I've publicly forced him to talk about it, now that I finally fucking understand, because he wouldn't fucking talk to me in private about it, now I'm freer. I'm free. I'm been freed. So, thank you, Max, for letting me use you in that way. And I'm, now that I know that that's so painful for you, then it's painful for me too. I'll still go to him like a guidance counselor if I need content creator advice. But that the personal part, my personal growth, self-awareness, engaging with my own trauma, engaging and with my reality around me, I can't talk about him the way I thought that I mean, I'm doing it now, so I guess he can't stop me. But I don't see him in the same way. Which is very sad. Because as Brittany Simon has said, there's no one else that's edgy enough for me. So So that means I'm gonna have to be more experimental and more honest. With some of the rest of the people in my life. I mentioned when the stream started that I am the real article. I'm the genuine article. I am a lot more honest than Mr. Girl. I'm a lot more vulnerable than Mr. Girl. in all this. Like, so he went into the Destiny sphere and he's like, Destiny, I love you. He went into the Destiny sphere and he's like, oh, these are my, these people I see as, you know, they're my friends and everything. He had that falling out with Stardust. He formed all these personal connections and he put himself out there. He felt vulnerable and he had these intimate connections with these people. And he decided that that was a risk and a liability, and he treated me like a risk and a liability. At my expense. At the expense of me knowing what was happening in our relationship at all. And so it really puts a sour taste in the progress that I've had as a person while relying on him in a way that he did not even consent to or expect me to or want me to be relying on him. There are more daddies. There's no daddy for me. But that's fine. Like the type of relationship I'm talking about that I had, I guess, with Max that he didn't have with me, but he let me engage in anyway, and seemed to understand until today. That type of relationship is not what I'm going to have with many people. So yeah, I'm not going to fucking have that. There's nobody that why do you think Max is so alone? There's no Max for Max. He was okay with manipulating me. I don't think he was manipulating me. I just don't think that I think that his boundaries were for him, and his inability to talk about our relationship in private was for him. It was not for me, and it never made sense that it was for me. Which always confused and made me anxious. And so, you know, I that's the type of thing that, you know, I came to terms with. And I was like, you know, I've always felt this, but like I really realize what is happening in me emotionally. So I'm like, I go into his like supporter stream and I'm like, it's me, your number one crazed fan that pays you to talk to you in this context because you won't talk to me in private about our public relationship and your mentorship of me and what is going on there and why it is different with Leah, even though it used to have consistent boundaries and now it no longer makes sense. It makes sense now. It's because the reason that he has those boundaries is for him, just like I fucking thought. It's the reason I got anxious. It's the reason that I wanted to ask him about it, and I was right, and now I have that answer. Not only are his boundaries for him, but also I need to take care of him in a way. It's everything I didn't want the relationship to be. It's everything against what was good about it for me. It just goes against everything that was positive for me. So I have to emotionally divest, or, you know, I have to distance myself emotionally. And I'm not going to I'll still use him as a whatever fucking guidance counselor. If I need advice as a content creator. Everyone has awful aspects to them. Max is just open and honest about it. Actually, this is something he's not open and honest about, and I'm putting together the pieces right now, and he's acted as if this was the relationship the whole time, this guidance counselor relationship that he defined tonight, and he was talking to me, you know, through voice, and I'm here sitting in text because he has all the fucking power in this situation, as if that was always the case, and as if I always knew that. And I don't even think he believes that. Maybe he believed that in the moment when he was saying it, but I don't think that's what he believed throughout the relationship. Yeah, so Mr. Girl report, the Mr. Girl report incoming. His abuses are not as pervasive. It would be a very small report. Stop giving him and Lav ammo. They're gonna make fun of you on next stream. Maybe. But I've always trusted him not to. Don't tempt Smeth with humiliation. That's damn right. Based bast. Sick. Max has a weird relationship with me where he does have this attitude about power and dominance, but he respected me as a content creator. It's just that he saw me as like a tainted tainted content creator, tainted by having been a fan of his somehow, and tainted by being a content creator, even though that taint doesn't affect Leah. It is really just like people were saying, an I don't like you. It's just I don't like you. And those boundaries can be rationalized, but I found the reason, I found the way that he can't rationalize it, and so it forced him to get uncomfortable. Or it's not even necessarily I don't like you. It's just I can't trust you, or I'm choosing not to. I don't have room for you. You're just not. That's just not what I want. And it's about him. It's not about me. So, Yeah, I'm going to have to, whatever the fuck I was using him for is going to be you. And when I say you, I mean that with a capital W. I don't know who, but it's coming. And it's going to probably still happen to Max anyway. Yeah. It's just that I can't, I need to not love him. And it does feel very gendered. And it does. I think I've said this about Max, but I think he's guilty of creating a lot of systems that have self-fulfilling prophecies. And maybe I'm doing the same thing because it definitely awakens my childhood trauma and my relationship to my parents. My narcissistic mom. Would abuse me psychologically. And my dad, who would always side with her, but I could see in his eyes that he would understand and he wouldn't want to. And once on a rare occasion he would stand up for me, but that was very rare. So I kept looking at him. And just like with my dad, it's just like what happened with Max. One day when I was like 12, I was in the car with my dad, and I was pushing him and pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. I was like, why? I know that you know that this is wrong, so why do you keep pretending it's not wrong? Why do you always side with her? Why do you always act like I'm in the wrong? Why do you always why do you punish me? Why do you play into this shit? It's like, why are you doing this to me? And he snapped and he's like, it's cuz I'll get sex. It's cuz I'll get pussy. And I'm 12 and I was just like shocked and bewildered that he snapped and he yelled that. And I didn't know what to say, so I said, ew. And then he just said, shut up. And then we were silent for the rest of the car ride. I remember exactly what spot in the road it was. And that's what has happened today with Max. Smeth, can I be your daddy next? There's no daddy for me. There's no escape. Dadless and dangerous. Yeah. Dadless and dangerous. Fatherless behavior. Fatherless and motherless. And yet I live at home. What kind of weird, fucked up person am I? What kind of weird life have I lived? Just like I emotionally divested from my parents, became cold, distant. I feel the need to emotionally divest from Max. But it's gonna be really hard and painful. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that. I've got a lot to think about, but I'm gonna have to think about that humiliation fetish comment. Make him jealous by finding a replacement father like Reservoir. No, I don't think it will make him jealous. I don't think it will make him jealous. And if I wanted to do behavior like that, I would have to be a woman. I don't get that luxury. You know, this is what a woman can do. I haven't watched all of the Twilight series, but I've watched bits and pieces. And one bit that always stuck in my head that I always thought was really profound, because it was such a good representation of a certain dynamic in our culture. Bella, the girl, the teenage girl who's in love with this vampire, he decides that he's not going to talk to her anymore for her own good. He says, I'm bad for you. I'm dangerous. You want me to make you a vampire. Me loving you and you loving me is not a good idea. This is wrong. And because I love you, I'm going to remove you from my life and you're never going to see me again. And so her response to that is to go out at night wearing like stripper clothes and find some dangerous biker dude and get on this bike with him and put herself into extreme danger, because she knows that if she does that, he'll come because he loves her and he will save her. So I know plenty of women that do that, and I can think of a few right now. But if I do that, what I gotta do is I just gotta fucking grow up, huh? Yeah. It is very gendered. Bro, you're not really taking relationship cues from Twilight, are you? No. It's a stupid idea, but it's something women do. Self-destructiveness, to be taken care of, this victim, being allowed to be a victim. Women are have this innate reproductive value, and we love women and care about women so much that we in fact end up hating them, because a woman putting herself in harm's way is not something we want to tolerate, and a man putting himself in harm's way is something we want to tolerate. That's just how it is. Men do it in their own way? What do you mean? Like what? I am so dramatic. I didn't know what I was going to say going into this stream, and just got done hearing Max talk about how doing a solo stream makes him feel a mix of feelings, because he feels narcissistic, but also when he talks to other people, they just want to shut him down and they don't want to let him talk. Well, I just want to fucking get this shit out there, and I don't care. I don't think there's anything wrong with being narcissistic in your fucking artwork. Okay? It's your fucking artwork. What else is it gonna be? Does your artwork have to have other people's fucking footprints on it? No. Are you mad? Maybe not trusting Max quite so much is good for me, because yeah, he is very fucked up. So this stream is going to be about that. I'm just going to be talking about my feelings. But the next stream, I'll still be talking about my feelings. But it won't be the same. Men do suicide threats. Women do suicide threats more than men. Men just do it. Men attempt it. I mean, women attempt it. Men just do it. And then they succeed more. What did you hope to get out of the relationship with Max? I've been fucking saying that. I used him as a emotional ballast and a reflecting and a sounding board for, because I don't feel like I'm so okay. I'll get more specific, similar to him, because I know I see so much of myself, and I fucking see so much of my fucking self in him. I have a problem with, and I'm getting a lot better at it, but I was raised to have a problem with understanding the people around me, understanding what is happening, being honest about it to myself, being honest about how I feel to other people, because of people-pleasing tendencies and just self-protectiveness. And by using him to be honest about how I feel about him, talking about how I feel about him, talking about our relationship, talking about I've been using him in that way, writing this paper, Becoming Max, talking about him so like I've got x-ray vision. I'm like looking through him and talking about myself and how I feel, not being afraid to be embarrassing, not being afraid of these type of things, and just being able to be vulnerable and honest. I've been using him for that. Okay? But now I've learned that that's not what he wants out of the relationship whatsoever. And the thing that I've been using him for is a lie. He let me do it. He understood that's what was happening. But now that, it's just, he's telling me that me asking him why he has boundaries with me that he doesn't have with Leah and pushing on that, he's saying that I am body slamming that ballast. He's saying that, no, he's saying he defined himself. I know I'm not your emotional ballast. I am your content ballast, wherever the fuck that means. It really just means nothing. It's just a rug pull. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a rug pull. And that I'm body slamming it, telling me that I'm putting that in jeopardy. He's basically threatening me. So, the thing that I thought was safe about him is not safe anymore. I won. I broke him. I tested the limits of how much I could lean on him, and I found out how far that goes. So, yeah, I can't lean on him like that anymore. And like I was saying, who's next? And it's not going to be my new daddy. It's who's next that's going to receive my honesty and my vulnerability and my trust, and not all those things at the same time. The trust one in particular is a tricky one to get from me. Wick. And I told Max, if that is his real name, I told him in DMs, I don't think he appreciates me if he's not fucking willing to talk about our relationship in DMs, and I have to fucking force his fucking hand and do it in public because he doesn't want to have a fucking liability. Because it doesn't want to look bad. Because he sees our DMs as a fucking PR statement that could blow up in his face at any moment. Fuck that guy. He didn't seem to like it when I said fuck him earlier, as if I was destroying the relationship. That undermines what I thought was happening. I thought that I could say fuck you to him. Well, fuck you. And if that destroys the relationship, then fuck you again. And fuck you again. That, seriously. That is so fucking horrible to me. Yeah. And I'm talking about it publicly. Just like you fucking wanted. And I'm not saying that it's not like I did this stream to be spiteful. I did this stream because I just feel like I have to talk about this publicly now. And it would be so violating for me to just... First, I would feel like I was lying if I didn't publicly talk about it. And it would feel violating for me to not talk about it publicly and to just hold that on my shoulders for the first time in our relationship. Just carry that on my shoulders forever. No. It's all been public. Close the door until Mr. Girl opens it. He won't open it. He won't open it. And he would define him not opening it as structure and stability that I can rely on. He would define it that way. And then he would tell me that that is for me. It is for my best interests. But that doesn't make any fucking sense anymore. It didn't quite make sense then. But now it makes sense why it didn't make sense. Because it was... And I think he believes that. I think he believes that because it comes from what he learned from his experience being a Destiny orbiter, and how he learned and he decided that he didn't want to treat orbiters the same. In his supporter stream, he's like, I quickly decided no. If you'd quickly figured that out, then you would have fucking laid it out very explicitly, but it took you a really, really long time to fucking do that, so I don't believe you that you quickly figured that out. I think that you figured that out just today. And you have vaguely figured it out, and you quickly figured out that you needed to have boundaries, but you didn't know what that meant or what that looked like, and then I pushed you, and it freaked you out, and now you have done this. That's how I feel. So he doesn't want to have these incestuous relationships. Like with Lav. Except I believe that he takes a lot of responsibility for Lav in a way that Destiny absolutely would never take responsibility for any of his orbiters. Yeah, I don't think his relationship with Lav is necessarily... It's not that bad. It's not going to be that bad for her, which is why I didn't understand. I didn't understand why wouldn't it be bad? Why would it be bad for me? And no, it wouldn't. No fucking shit, it wouldn't. It's because he doesn't want it. And I was sold a lie, a rationalization that it's for me. Not that he doesn't want it, that it is for me. And that keeps me... It keeps me coming. I got a lot of good out of it, and I'll probably still get a lot of good out of it in a different way. Now that I know how I can utilize him in my relationship with him as what did he say? A fucking counselor or a camp counselor or whatever the fuck. I can use him like that, and now I know exactly what messages he'll respond to and what messages he won't respond to in DMs, which is something that's never been clear to me, and it always felt pretty random and very hurtful. Now I understand what that is. Something he never fucking laid out until today. If he liked it, then he should have put a ring on it. Ooh. Yeah. fucking water. I'm thirsty. Mrs. Boy enters the chat. Mentor, mentee. Listen, he wants to use the word mentor. The word mentor feels a lot more intimate to me than what he's saying. Ad hoc rationalizes boundaries with Mr. Girl. And someone in chat says Max is so full of shit, but I don't really think he's so full of shit. It's not like he was trying to hurt me. Like I was trying to explain, I do think he believed that his boundaries were for me and rationalized it as being for me. And that was a core, very strong narrative that he built after his experience in the Destiny Sphere. And because it was such a bedrock narrative that he relied on, he let that become something that was a given. And didn't realize. That's probably what I think has happened. Or didn't understand me, or avoided it. And now it kind of makes sense that when he would talk to me, it would always be a little... He would see me, but it'd be a little off. And I'm not saying that... I'm saying he'd be a little off, like... in a hopeful, wishful way. But I was always that thing that didn't want it to be, that he tried not to accept, or that he just kind of avoided and did see and just didn't want to accept, but he saw. That was me. I'd say that what he's doing with Lav is unhealthy, and what he's doing for you, while horrible and painful, is healthy. And yeah, how did he make you think he wanted you? He made me think that his boundaries were for me. It made me think that he cared very deeply about me, and I would constantly lean on him and use him to test out being vulnerable, and use him to test out trust, and to trust him in ways that I had barricaded off to protect myself from my fucking parents. So I trusted him in a way that I learned to not trust my parents. And I thought that was clear what was happening. So my relationship to him, it's not that he made me think he wanted me. I just thought that he accepted that was what our relationship was. And it is inherently like a fatherly thing. What a horrible thing to realize that you were someone's father figure. In a really deep way, not in a content way, in a childhood trauma healing way. What a horrible thing that I've done to him. I don't think that sounds that bad. Yeah. Maybe not. But I feel like it is right now. And I feel filthy and rejected and contempt-worthy. I'm not your dad, I'm your camp counselor. It's been painful for me to watch his streams for the past couple weeks because of this. This is a new thing, and it's because of his relationship with Leah, and that's what made me understand that the boundaries are for him. Let's speak about some of the arguments. Leah, I'm not like Leah. Leah always had a big audience or a big following. She wasn't a fan of his for quite as long. She went on his stream, and then they bonded over their experience in the Destiny sphere. Trauma bonded, in her words. Most of my audience is not mrgirl fans right now. I cannot get an audience from being a porn star. Max still has a big sway over public opinion of Lav. People that come to hear her talk, most of them are haters, and the ones that aren't, Max probably has a degree of influence over, whether they're a fan of him or not. I think that's all bullshit. It's been over a year. I don't know, like a year and a half. I've been streaming, making content, I'm improving, I'm growing, and I'm growing my art, my craft, and it is and I'm still to be like treated like some it's been like a year and a fucking half or something, and I'm supposed to be treated just like a fan. But that's not really what it is. It's not what it is. That is a painful way to frame it, but that's not what it is. It's just that he doesn't want that. And maybe he doesn't want that because of some rigid ideas he's got about what a healthy orbiter dynamic is. But at the end of the day, he doesn't want that. And it's what I've been doing. It's what I've been doing. It's what has been happening. So that's fucked. I can't do that. Outgrow him and the status will change. I think that if I remain his pupil, the status can never ever change. It is a self-fulfilling system. It's a self-justifying system. That's why it's so painful. It's a self-justifying system. So I have to, in the way that I was, I can't be so emotionally attached to him. Because that justifies the rejection. So the being attached to him is going to hurt me. And not being attached to him, you could theorize, could theoretically change things, but that's not any guarantee at all. It's probably not true. I don't think he wants that anyway. It's just not that. It's never gonna be that. I bet that if I message him happy birthday, it's like a electric shock of anxiety will run through his body. If I, and I'm sure at one point he would have felt that from Leah. But he's not going to feel that. He's not going to change that with me. Well, you looked up to him for inspiration. It's not something you have to disconnect from. No, it's not. The inspiration was personal. I used him to talk to him and about him and be vulnerable with him in a way that I had cut myself off from my parents. It's not an inspiration like... It's a personal inspiration. That's the type of inspiration I got from it. It was always like that. So, and that's what he's not willing to talk to me about. That I was basically, it's like I was a thief. I was stealing that from him. I was stealing that relationship from him. Parasocial. He wasn't giving that to me. I was taking it. Are you guys done talking to each other? No. Maybe. Maybe because he implied that me saying, fuck you, I hate you, is basically me destroying the relationship, which I think goes against everything that I thought that he stood for and any sense of stability that I ever got from him. So if he really believes that, then me talking about him right now and talking about my feelings is destroying the relationship, but I don't think that it is. or I don't think it should be. But I just don't want to see him that way anymore. It's just so painful. It's like I remember I read when I was a kid, I read Where the Red Fern Grows, and this kid makes a trap for raccoons to catch them and hunt them. And the trap is you take a shiny ring and you take a hollowed out log. You find a hollowed out log and you take 2 nails. So you get the log, take 2 nails and you push them in at an angle so that they're like this. And here's the log, right? Here's the log going sideways. 2 nails like this. Like a pinching gesture inside of it. And then you put a ring on the inside, a shiny ring. And raccoons can't help themselves but to grab the shiny ring because that's what they want. And when they reach in and grab the shiny ring, when their fist is balled up, now if they pull their fist out of the log, the nails push into their flesh and they can't get their hand out. But the raccoon cannot help but to let go of, they can't help but to keep holding the ring. They can't stop themselves. They can't let go. So they will keep themselves trapped until the hunter comes and kills them because they are unwilling to let go of that shiny ring. It's a trap. Now, I'm touching that ring with 1 finger. I'm not balling my fist up. He said that his relationship with me is the same as his relationship with Will and Benny. Will and Benny's his relationship with them is the same as his relationship with me. But my relationship with him is not the same as their relationship with him. Not in the slightest. So, like them, I'm going to poke it with 1 finger, as is his wish. Just like with my parents. That happens to Homer with a soda? Yeah. You get it. You heard of that with seeds in a trunk and monkeys trapping themselves? Nice. Yeah. I like the mother role Lav could provide emotional comfort from the cold void of Mr. Girl. Like the mother role, Lav could provide emotional comfort from the cold of Mr. Girl. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. I like her, but I don't know about that. I have to escape my own mental prison on my own somehow. And my therapist, though I love my therapist, as Max pointed out, there's some limitations. There's limitations to therapy that my relationship with him clearly is able to interact with, which is his, he pointed that out. But I guess he doesn't fucking want to do that. It freaks him out and he rejects it. Are we in Sen's fortress? Oh yeah. Yep, we're trapped in the fortress. What are the odds that they'd let you be a special guest on their weird, uncomfortable podcast? What are the odds? It depends on how much they want content, because it would be remarkable content, wouldn't it? It would just be, it might even just turn into Jerry Springer. Yeah, but I don't know about that. I don't think that's what they want. I don't think they would want that. So also, another thing I remember here, because I'm going to remember so many things that I wanted to talk about after this, but Max has been like obsessed. Turn that back up a little bit. Max has been obsessed with my rage. It's not my rage is me trying to make space for myself. It's me reacting to something else. The rage, he's focused on the rage because the rage makes him feel bad. But it's not about me if he's so focused on the rage, because the rage exists because I need to feel heard. And the fact that he's so fixated on my rage is a clear sign, because yeah, it's not, rage is not where that's starting. And I've told him, and he still is so focused on the rage. It makes him squirm. It makes him contemptuous. It makes him think that I am ungrateful, which is horrible to me. His statement that if I can't trust his boundaries, then I can't get anything out of them, that was not the statement I thought it was. This is important. Okay, so when I spoke to him, he made a comment that to me sounded very deep. It wasn't so deep. It was different. He was in a different world when he said this. But he said that if I am unable to trust him and trust the boundaries, then I can't get anything out of them. And I was like, that is a fucking really big statement to make, because if you say that, you're basically saying I can't get anything out of therapy. You're saying that I am unable to have stable, healthy relationships. But that's not what he was saying. He was saying I can't get anything out of it. Like, I can't give you anything unless you just shut up and trust me and stop talking about how you feel and stop making this space for yourself when I fucking said that I don't want you to make space for yourself. That is what he was saying. He was... Maybe me being publicly upset with him. Like he's always like, oh, you always seem like you want to be mad at me when you enter my stream, but then you're unable to be mad at me. As if he wants me to be mad at him. But I don't think he wants me to be mad at him, because the moment I start actually trying to fucking express that, which is what I thought he wanted me to do, he starts freaking out. The thing that I fucking got from him was that place to be angry, that place to be honest and vulnerable. And that's not what he wanted. That's not what... I don't know what the fuck he wanted. I don't know. Maybe he's just confused. I don't know. I was disappointed in his response to your post, but partly because you were expressing anger with him, and he deflected and acted like there was no way you were actually angry with him. I'm going to look at the post. What did he say? Why don't I read my post? It'll be so much more vulnerable than I've been so far, because I've written it all out. I'll read my post and I'll read his response. But what I'm responding to, the reason I'm doing this stream isn't his response to this post. His response to this post in itself makes me feel like he is still letting me use him in that role, that father-like role, because of what he says. Fuck. Because of what he says about therapy and how therapy has limitations that my relationship with him does not have. And then later today, he outright rejected that. He's like, I'm not doing that for you. Even though he has been. Even though he has been. Or at least I've been using him for that. Which is so fucking... That's what a rug pull. This dude can't get his hands off of people's rugs. I'll read my post. Okay. Let me get this jacket off. Okay. You don't know what you've awakened. Happy birthday. On your stream, you told me that I'm unable to benefit from healthy boundaries because I don't trust them. This implies that I'm so fucked up that therapy won't work on me. Therapy has been great. I don't have any insecurities about my relationship with my therapist. I appreciate and understand her boundaries. They ensure that she doesn't burden me with her own baggage because she is there for me to have one-way intimacy. I understand that if I caretake her, I will undermine the therapeutic relationship. I never see her going to lunch with other clients or taking them to her house. I don't see her going to their wedding or doing a podcast with them about their relationship. That would be very bad for me. It would probably have a long-lasting detrimental effect on my relationship to therapy itself. If that were the case and I told her about these feelings, I doubt she would rephrase my question as, why is my relationship with this other client different from my relationship with you? That would make me feel like I'm crazy. You are not my therapist. You are my mentor. But this is an example of a highly boundaried relationship that I trust and that is healthy for me. At its best, my relationship with you gives me a similar sense of safety. I can be angry with you and send you angry messages telling you how I feel. I know you want me to feel that my anger is accepted by you, but it doesn't feel that way when you respond to my anger by telling me that I'm unable to get angry on your stream because I don't have any power, implying that if I could only truly get angry, then you would accept it. You told me that my anger seems performative because I dissociate from my anger if I don't have any power. The whole conversation was like this, transforming a conversation about my feelings into a conversation about my relationship to control, which is a conversation that puts you in even more control. All the while, and let me take a pause, it puts him in even more control because the reason his relationship to me is built around having control over me is because I'm a liability and a risk to him, not because it's what's good for me, which is what I've always trusted him was the case. That liability is that he might say something that might hurt my feelings, or say or some and he'll say something that'll hurt my feelings in public, but if he does it in private, it's a liability. It's not really about me, it's about him. Where was I? Which is a conversation that puts you in even more control. All the while, you can still feel, you can still succeed in making me feel seen, which then confuses me even more because I'm being pulled in a direction either further from my anger. Your chat told you that you were weaseling out of my questions. I'm glad they could see it. You're right, and I appreciate the insight, but you ignored the other factor which I brought up and keep bringing up to you. Let me spell it out directly. A significant reason that I can't be angry with you on your stream is that it's deeply embarrassing. If I do that, idiots like food shops will be like, see, I was right all along. I didn't want to have to deal with that bullshit. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the public format. You ignored this and focused on a conversation that puts you in full control. Your relationship with control is not much different from how you described mine. I told this to Elder Drazi when you canceled your physics discussion with him because you only feel safe discussing it in a format where you have all the power. If you accept my anger, it does give me some degree of power, and that's why you steered away from it. It was not a true acceptance of my feelings, because you didn't even talk about my feelings. Because it's a stream, that leaves me in a position where I'm now searching for something to engage with you on, so I was complicit. But you're the one responsible for it being a stream. Instead of talking about my feelings, we mainly talked about why it's hard for me to express my feelings. This made it even harder for me to express them, and I think that would be true of most people. If you actually wanted me to express my feelings, you should have engaged with them, but you didn't. You also didn't want to talk about Leah, and that played a role in your steering of the conversation. You're right that your boundaries make me feel trapped. I don't feel trapped by my therapist's boundaries. It's because you're an asshole. I understood your boundaries when your boundaries with Leah were consistent, and you didn't engage with her in public. Your stance was that it would be harmful to mix private relationship and a public one, and it would put you in conflicting roles. Now you don't have that position. So, if it's not harmful to Leah, then why would it be harmful to me? I've asked this multiple times, and you've dodged it repeatedly. And it seems like you're only willing to engage at all in a public discussion, which I think is fucked up. I think you do that to maintain control, which you justify by defining our relationship as one where you always have control. That's like a justification Ben Thorpe would give for making all his family drama public. It makes me distrust you and think that your boundaries are for you and not for me. Or maybe some unconscious part of you is trying to farm me for content. You said it's not about money or dependency, and that it wouldn't change anything if I was Jeff Bezos. All that's left is that I look up to you. But that's why I feel so trapped. I probably would have stopped watching your content when you got banned from YouTube, if I wasn't streaming and attached to you. It feels like I'm a captive audience. I look up to you because I see you as a mentor, and that changes how I engage with your content. I am personally invested. I had a big blowout with Evil Fossil the other day. My chat told me to apologize to him, but I refused and had a conversation about why not. You posted a video about how apologies are selfish the next day. Now I'm thinking shit like, is it a coincidence? How am I supposed to engage with this? Should I assume it has nothing to do with what happened? If he did see my stream, then how much of this is related and how much of it is generalized and not related to what happened? I wouldn't give it much thought or find it very distressing if I didn't know that you would have this conversation with Leah but not me. When your boundaries made sense, it would have absolutely crossed my mind, but then I would just move on because I trusted that your boundaries are healthy for me. That was my experience. Sometimes I think about completely dissociating from you, but that idea is awful. I'll be more alone and misunderstood than ever. I'll keep being compared to you, and people will still say I'm copying you when I refuse to apologize or talk about my feelings or tell people what I think about them or whatever. But I'll be much more alone and have no place to belong. I don't understand your boundaries anymore. You reframed it as me having always been crazy. Leah simply made it manifest, but it was always there. That might be the case, but I was in the middle of healing and learning to trust your boundaries. Now I oscillate between trusting them and not trusting them. I'm unable to tell if the bridge is stable or about to collapse. It makes me feel tainted and dirty. Max is not interested in changing anything to help me or acknowledge how me witnessing his public relationship with Leah could have had an impact on me. He's not willing to engage with that at all because his relationship with me isn't for me. It's that way to protect him. If it was for me, then this conversation I'm talking about here wouldn't put him in so much distress, and it wouldn't make him act like I am giving up a good thing, which I don't feel like I was doing when I did this. The fact that he said that means it is all for him. This is his response. Which still makes me feel like it's for me in a way. Dear Smeth, in your therapy analogy, Leah isn't my patient, but you are. You keep asking me this question that basically boils down to, if Leah and I have the same relationship with you, then why are they different? That's not my fucking question. They're not the same relationship or whatever. Because they're not the same relationship. Okay. Then in quotes, then why aren't they the same relationship? Is it because I'm a dirty fan or because I'm not a girl? I understand that this is triggering to you because it feels gendered and that makes you feel angry. It's so condescending and boiling everything I have to say down into such trivialities. I understand that this is triggering to you because it feels gendered and it makes you feel angry, but I'm not going to compare you to other people as much as you've asked me to. What I said on the hotline, he's talking to me as if Benny was the one to send him this message, as if it comes out of nowhere, as if I haven't been leaning on him as this emotional pillar to be more vulnerable and trusting. And he's just fucking ignoring all of that. What I said on the hotline was an attempt to help you reflect on why you interpret boundaries, not my boundaries, but why you interpret boundaries as a rejection rather than something that can keep you safe. If that feels evasive to you, then we can focus on your stated feelings about this instead. Yes, you don't have to see your therapist interact with anyone but you. This might be a limitation of the therapy format in your case, because it might unleash a torrent of rage if you did. So it sounds like he's welcoming of my rage, right? And it sounds like he is saying that this is good that I'm mad at him. Except he's not saying that. He's saying that that's kind of what he sees and that's a true reality of it. He knows that that's the case, but also, no, not me, bro. Not me, bro. No, not me. This would have been helpful earlier in the stream. That's because it's painful for me to read it. That's why it has taken me a while longer. Let's read my response. Max. I know your relationship with Leah is not the same as with me. If I saw my therapist go to lunch with another client, I would know that their relationship is not the same as mine. Although our relationships to you are different, I see Leah as the same as me. She started off with the same relationship I started off with. You had similar boundaries with her, and they slowly disappeared one by one. Yes, it is very gendered. You described me as being organized to benefit from boundaries failing, but I think that describes Leah very much. And yet you've dropped more and more boundaries with her. You told someone that if you were to tell me that your boundaries with me could change, that would be very damaging to me. You told me that when I watched you do it. Fuck you for that. I have reflected on why I see your boundaries as a rejection and not for how they can keep me safe. They feel safe and felt safe when your boundaries with Leah, who I see as an equal, were based on consistent values. Once you stated that you were going to feature her on a rap song, that started to change. There are multiple reasons why it would be bad to compare me and Leah. It would be hurtful to both of us. If I saw my therapist interact with her family or her husband, that wouldn't bother me. If I perceived her family to have been a former patient, that would affect me. I don't think it's a limitation that I don't see her interact with non-clients or clients, because this would never be an issue. You are at fault for this. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe me seeing Leah as an equal is the problem. So now I get passive aggressive in this last paragraph. So what I have to do is zen out and dissociate in a sense. I need to let go of my attachment to this reality where Leah was a fan of you, and then you adopted her, but refused to do anything publicly with her as to not mix roles, and then slowly she forced your hand more and more, making it impossible to not talk about her on your stream, and then eventually you drop your boundaries altogether silently and then attempt to do a rap song with her, and then start a podcast with her where she pulls you around like a dog on a leash and has extreme control over you. I'll just pretend that isn't the reality I'm seeing. I need to stop seeing her as my equal. That is the implied solution. That is the thing that triggers me. Yeah, so underneath all of this, I just have to accept that she isn't my equal. The relationship is different because I am tainted, and he doesn't want that relationship with me. And okay, so I didn't articulate quite well enough here because I was a bit passive aggressive. But it's not just that I have to stop seeing her as my equal. It's that I have to accept that Max doesn't want that relationship with me. He just doesn't want it. And it's very cruel not to say that to me. He doesn't want it. Maybe he wants it in a sense, but he's decided against it because it's a risk, it's a liability, it's bad, and he's already done it once, and he can never do that again. And when he did it with Leah, she was more of a destiny orbiter than a max orbiter. So maybe I just become a fucking destiny orbiter. I guess there's less of a liability in that case. In her situation, there was less of a liability. I don't like thinking about myself as a liability, and I don't like it's just, it undermines everything that I trusted about my relationship with him. So I added another reply too. I said, "Are you even willing to accept any responsibility for your public deterioration of boundaries with a fan, or even acknowledge that we exist in the same reality?" Max says, and look, I accept that in this moment here, I am too focused on Leah. and not the core of why. Because I'm focused on the specifics of his relationship with Leah, but I'm not talking about why his relationship with Leah makes me insecure in this moment. And so that's why, and he's not gonna go there for some reason, or unable to go there, but it makes me insecure because it makes it clear, like as I just said, at best, it's because I'm a liability. And that would be bad for me, because it's bad to be a liability, isn't? Well, I am one, and defined me as one. And so you need to protect me from being hurt, as a liability should be protected. I said I'm not going to compare you to other people, even if you word the question to make it sound like that's not what's happening. Your other comment references an implied solution. As I've said, I don't think your anger here is really about this situation. I think it is triggering something you are already really angry about. No. The anger is coming from pain. And I don't think the solution has to do with me, which is maybe why I'm coming off as not accepting responsibility. I don't think you being angry in itself is a problem that needs solving, but I do think you are enraged by not being in control, as I said. No, it's a combination of not being in control and also me having a relationship with you that is not the relationship you have with me, and that you reject from me. When you talk about it like this, you talk about my anger being okay and good, and then you act like I'm rejecting you by being angry, which is not fucking true. And you're saying I'm throwing away our relationship, or I'm bashing up against it. I'm using you as a ballast in a way that you don't accept responsibility for. That I've been using you like that, bitch. So if I don't like not having control, it's that I don't like not having... It's that I'm not accepted for what is fucking happening. Are you dumb? Are you blind? I had another response to that, but it's not important. Yeah, it's really cutting. But all of this ignores what I've realized. All of this is it's not really accepting what I've realized. It's just that the boundaries are because I'm a liability. So, I'm glad that I understand what the boundaries are now. I understand the relationship now. Now I can appropriately navigate this relationship. The way that I was navigating it before was not appropriate. Not for me. My discomfort with not being in control isn't a universal discomfort. It is a very amazing rationalization. Yeah, it is true that I was in discomfort for not being in control, but it was because the relationship I had with you and what I used you for and what I got from the relationship had nothing to do, or very little to do, with what you were giving me. How often did I fucking message you about fucking stream shit? Not often. And then it's just so confusing because at times he was there for me in the way that I'm talking about. And then in times he's not, especially I think bringing up Leah. Is his VOD isn't up from the supporter stream, but I'm proud of myself. Okay, here's the thing. I'm very proud of myself that I am able to be angry with him and express that. And he's freaked out by it. And that pisses me off. He's saying that I'm bashing up against something and destroying it. And that he is not there for that. And it's just such a rug pull. And I just... absolute collapse of what I thought was the relationship. Needs a mother arc. RealSmeth, how do you envision your content creation going forward? Going the course, not much changed. I'm going to need to use the tools that I learned by using Max as my emotional ballast and use those on you. What's up? What's up, Smeth? What's up? RealSmeth, what Max is doing is like trying to yell at a blind man for tripping over the stool. How are you supposed to know? Yeah. He didn't act. He acted contemptuous and surprised and shocked and scared. He acted like I was abandoning him. And I'm not, and I'm still not. I can't just stop loving him. I cannot just stop loving him. But I need to have boundaries that reflect his boundaries. I thought that he wanted to be a pillar of stability in my life, which is something I think he's literally said. And me being able to get angry at him And like he's even said, like, the good thing about my boundaries is that you can get angry at me. Huh? Are you fucking kidding me? You said that last time we fucking spoke on your hotline. The good thing about my boundaries is that you could get angry at me, but you can't benefit from that because you can't get angry. Well, now I'm angry, and now you feel abandoned. What? I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself because I'm angry at you. Are you fucking kidding me? Is Goat Girl Lav? Yeah, Goat Girl 666 is Lav. Why do I need his permission? Because it seems like he's engaging in what is known as what's the fucking term? Preemptive abandonment. He's telling me that I'm abandoning him when I'm not, and acting like I'm giving something up, telling me that I am destroying the relationship. I need someone else to bash up against, right? And nobody can tolerate that, though. My therapist? Yeah, I've been wondering about that because I have never once gotten mad at my therapist. And actually, like, I've gotten a little frustrated a little bit. But there's nothing a therapist could do that would ever make me mad. I am a very trusting person. When I organize people, and I mean a lot like Max is to me, into different categories of risk. I guess I'm a high risk individual. But for me, a therapist is low risk. I see Max, and even still, as low risk. And I see someone that's like, I don't know, like a kiwi farmer or something. They're a little bit higher risk, you know? And, yeah. If I choose to trust you, I'm very trusting. I just feel like I'm good at, or I have a very rigid way of allocating my trust. That's the thing too. That's the thing too that is a little bit painful, is that I understand what he's saying, and yeah, I do the same fucking thing. I'm not going to talk to fans in DMs about my relationship with them. That is a risk. That is a risk. And I will rationalize it. Because I don't know what I'm doing usually. Because I don't know them that well. So, it's got to be public, right? I understand. So I get it. And that's painful. I get it. One of my ex-therapists was a biased feminist asshole. She obviously was a C-star NT cunt that hated men. All my other therapists were normal. My therapist is great. I went through a couple. A lot of my therapists were like young students that, like, a lot of them were like young women students. They seemed like they did not know how to handle what I was given. It just seemed like a deer in headlights. And I was like, oh, so I guess a therapist is just an emotional punching bag, because they just sit there, look scared, and you just scream at them. But my current therapist is not like a deer in headlights. And she makes me feel like she's invested in what I have to say. And she has boundaries. And I can talk to her about... I've talked to her about things that I didn't think I would. And, yeah. Yeah. Max just posted the VOD for his Porter stream. Copy. Paste. Oh, it's interesting. Alright, I can just fucking bring this out. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. There's gonna be a lot of skipping around. Because as I'll tell you that one thing that I said in the chat. Oh yeah, I have to leave that up. One thing that I said in the chat. That I'm just an afterthought. That you'll only talk to me about our relationship in between talking about physics and talking about whatever your childhood, and then in between the comments and talking to these other people and your other fans that are paying you money to talk to you and have these conversations. I'll have to pay you fucking money, and then you'll fucking have this conversation that I'm forcing you to have about my relationship with you, which seems really important to me to have a conversation about. And it would have been so much easier in private. And I've got it on the fucking screen here.
Hello and welcome to the Mr.
Yeah, he's gonna talk about a bunch of shit.
Report about it doesn't give me as much personal manipulation strats. Math, it's interpreting math. Cosmology as a religion. That the answer.
And every time that he was
so awful, and
every time he was about to read my messages, he was like, He really took his time getting to them because I could tell how painful it was. So I learned a lot.
I haven't really seen them articulate why it's awful, just that if it is, I don't think it's a good idea. And they have to get on their horse one last time, and they might not return. They might never get on the horse. Terrifying. And that's really interesting, also, because it's really mirrors my experience already of just like,
this is going to be annoying
so awful
to find
people
in the middle of all this.
In between the bits of physics and talking about your childhood, just an afterthought. What a wonderful structure and boundaries. This makes me feel so secure. Why don't I comment on your childhood? That sounds awful. I can tell you something about my childhood and we can relate. I'll feel so close to you. Okay, so the thing you want is you want me to have conversations about our relationship with you in private. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't think it's, well, I mean, you've sent me messages about this in private, and I generally don't respond to them because I don't think it's a good idea.
I mean, I agree though, but I don't care. But not, yeah, it's a liability.
Our mentor-mentee relationship is really built for you to say stuff like, how do I deal with it when people are saying they want to kill me? Or how do I deal with it when somebody sends me mixed messages about this thing or that thing?
But the thing is, even when I message him about something like that, sometimes he doesn't reply.
And that kind of...
And then when I message him about other shit, sometimes he does. It's
shit that I'll respond to you. But having private conversations about how you wish...
my understanding, my formula in my head before this of what was acceptable and what wasn't and how to message him was, don't be too emotional, don't be too forthcoming, just have a brief question. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's brief and concise. He is going to be way more willing to engage with it regardless of what it is. And that is what I was going with, and that's been the case. And if I talk,
I didn't have boundaries with you, it's not safe for either of us. It's not appropriate. And so I am forced to respond to you in this format. And so I do. I mean, I could ignore you. I could just say I'm not going to respond to that. But it's not as, the transparency and public nature of it, I think, makes it a bit safer. So there's stuff I'm willing to talk about in public with every content creator that I won't talk about in private, because the fact of it being public is like if startup.
So I have to go onto your fucking hotline, or I have to pay you to go into your supporter stream in your chat.
This was like, I had a private conversation with Max about how he thinks I should not be allowed to say no to people when they want to have sex with me. It's not safe for me.
Well, that would be like a conversation. That conversation isn't too different from how do I deal with people saying they want to kill me when I, but yeah, which really speaks to the confusion I think that both me and him feel. But yeah. I feel like Mr. Girl's excessive parasocial ethics actually end up creating the parasocial obsessions it attempts to stop in the first place. He's created a system that perpetuates itself and self-justifies. I can
to do that. But if people can see the conversation, then it's like, well, I don't.
Yeah, so I have to
don't think
go
that's what happened,
call in
but
your hotline like a
if you
fucking
think
crazed
it is, then
fan to
that's
talk
fine.
about our public relationship, or to go into your fucking chat in your supporter stream and pay you like a fucking crazed fan.
That's helpful because for me it feels like a crapshoot as to what your boundaries are, which are and have never been clear to me. Okay, here's my boundaries, Smeth. I'm your mentor. Your professional mentor. So when you have artistic questions or work questions, or questions about streaming, or questions about navigating my community or the intersections between our audiences, those are things that I can help you with. When you have questions about why my relationship with someone else is different from my relationship with yours, I can't help you. When you have questions about why can't I drop my boundaries or change my boundaries or that,
what they are, what your boundaries are,
you're welcome to complain about it in public or say how you feel about it, but I'm not going to engage with you about it. You're like Howard Stern and Smeth and your orbiters are like the whack pack, but they're self-harming psychological messes rather than street freaks. Only no one's actually getting paid. Yeah. I want to be like a guidance counselor.
Guidance counselor, not camp counselor, guidance counselor. That is 3, 4, 5 steps removed from the intimacy that I perceive as a mentor. A mentor, you can ask about your relationship with them. You can ask about their boundaries. A mentor is a very intimate thing. And you can see him in that moment. It's never been consistent.
So that is what I'm available for. And I get that there are limitations to that feel random or unfair and make you angry. But
it's not that they make me angry, it's that they make me feel hurt. And then the anger is what you see. You know, it's what you end up seeing on your end. Anger isn't the first thing.
What I'm here for. Do you feel positively, negatively, or neutral towards these supporter streams? Have a single... One feeling I have... And then I'm like... At the same time... So I could just...
He starts talking about this.
Oh.
He's talking about how he feels like a narcissist when he monologues.
Let's look at it this other way. And then look at it the other way. Actually prevent me from talking, which is something that you can really do if you're in a conversation with somebody. You can really...
Hold on a second. I need to... I'll just... that still work?
Really stop them from talking.
Okay.
So I would say
Okay,
I
you'll
have
still
mixed
hear it,
feelings,
one.
and those are probably my 2 primary mixed feelings.
Okay.
Do I dread them?
Okay.
Do you dread them heading in? He hates us. The way you launched in with a bit of a monologue today made it seem like he's... Yeah.
Come on.
Well, also the audience is filled, I'd say, pretty frequently.
He's fucking avoiding it too.
There aren't people who are here to ruin the stream. There's like put me on the defensive and make people deliberately. So I enjoy the format. Oh. That's the downside. Oh. The self-loathing is hard to deal with. Though.
Okay, so he's saying that self-loathing is hard to deal with when he does a solo stream, like the supporter streams.
That's the downside. Are you working on a paper with some of these physicists, or are you just working on videos now? I'm just working on videos now. I have bounce ideas off to co-author. Pay people, but no, given your boundaries, I feel that it's not appropriate for me to have any love for you. You can't love your guidance counselor? Why not? Can you link that blog post of the guy who quit physics? I'd be interested in reading it.
Is so... Oh my god, I hate that it's...
Yeah.
I hate that my conversation with him has to be like this, scattered between this other fucking shit.
Is there a reason not to do this?
Everything about this was heightened way more than it ever needed to be, too. It really pushes the Jerry Springer aspect. It really pushes the drama. At least with me. Because I'm not just gonna fucking swallow it. Okay, he's gonna read this whole fucking... He's gonna read this whole this article this person sent them that they didn't intend for him to read the whole thing on the stream because he's trying to avoid me.
What's it all for? At a world is one important and reliable guild in there. Extinct.
And now I have to fucking find it.
Like our intelligence is what makes us so destructive. That there's like... There's a... relativity, which... I think that's one of my favorite things about this. The whole point is that there is... But I feel like there's... like he wants to be... Is it good? Yes, except for my... Why would I love my guidance counselor? Why would I watch their streams? It's an original sin. It's original sin that makes me a risk. Leah is right about everything. I can't watch these anymore. Well, I think I became your guidance counselor because you like my content originally. That's why you started streaming like in and around my community, right?
No, it's because of Leah.
My love is just a risk to be accounted for, and the look on your face is contempt. I don't think it's contempt. I think that it feels like you, as I've said, after seeing how Destiny interacted with his audience and his orbiters, I really quickly developed a system of how I was going to do that differently. Where I generally don't have private conversations with members of my audience. My relationships with my orbiters, fellow streamers, colleagues, everyone, are really transparent and public. But not Leah. I don't think I can talk with you about Leah.
Fuck you, dude.
It was Leah that inspired me to stream. Well, then maybe you're a Leah orbiter. I don't think talking to you about Leah is a good idea.
Fuck. It would be good for me.
So
It would be good for me, though.
I'm gonna stop doing that.
It would be good for me, bitch.
Fuck you. Yeah, so I approached these relationships differently from Destiny because it seemed like they were really
See, and he's making a public statement now.
abusive. Just the structures inherently. And from that, I came to the idea that if I have people who are streaming kind of in my community as orbiters, and if they're getting a certain amount of attention or they're calling in enough that they're helping me exist and I'm helping them exist, and if they look up to me, which I think you have and do, then I should be available to give them feedback or guidance, counselor-ish stuff from my vantage point and experience, limited experience, but experience all the same. And moral support. And so in that, I've said to you, Drazi, Will, and Benny.
So my relationship with this fucker is not the same as these other people's relationships with him. So, like I said in the title, it's just business, kid. And what I was using him for, and that as that emotional ballast that helped me heal from a lot of childhood trauma. That's not... I mean, I'm pretty sure he was aware of it at times, but right now he's in PR mode. And any time that a relationship is confusing is probably because he's in PR mode and hurtful. He told me that his DMs to me, I should consider them as my personal property. And that really hurt my feelings because I was like, so that means that you're going to consider every DM you send me as a public statement. And that's just... I don't know, what's the
Feel free
point?
to reach out if you need something, and I feel like I'm obligated to engage with you publicly. Fuck you, I hate you. Okay.
Okay, someone says good question. Why does Leah get to escape his parasocial rules? Legit. Is it just because she's a woman? No, it's also because she was rejected by him. It's like complicated. It is complicated. It's like it's different. She's definitely different from me. Her story, her relationship to him, it is very different. But in the end, yeah, it's because she's a woman. Because all those things, because all of those things contingent on that.
It feels like
it's very different.
the orbiters have taken advantage of this to different extents and in different ways. Not taken advantage of, but utilized, taken me up on the offer. And also with differing levels of appreciation for the strictness of the boundaries. And lately, you have seemed really mad about them.
Yeah, lately. Because my understanding of your fucking boundaries developed alongside your relationship with Leah. And as I wrote in one of my fucking public things, I was like, his boundaries with me, trying to explain to other people, his boundaries with me are the opposite of his boundaries with Leah. With me, it's all public. And with Leah, it's all private. And when that changed is when it stopped being stable and stopped making sense for me. And being unwilling to fucking talk about her, that is not unrelated to my relationship with you.
Saying fuck you, I hate you right now as an example of what I'm talking about. So my feeling...
Yeah, so he feels like I'm unappreciative because I'm saying fuck you, I hate you. But me saying fuck you, I hate you is what I get out of my relationship with him. The fact that I can say that to him is the reason that I appreciate him. And so now he's gonna...
I don't feel contempt for you. I just feel like... I feel like you're pitching me these curveballs where I have to figure out how to
PR statement it out and escape,
even respond to what you're
escape
saying.
The risk.
It feels like you're trying to get me to say something where there won't be a way that I can respond.
There is no healthy. There is no way to. There's no way to engage with this in a PR way.
Like, yeah, part of me is like, why? I don't understand. Like, just why don't you just like accept what I'm giving you?
Because I've never been.
Like
the thing that you're saying that you're giving me is never what I got from you. Ever, barely ever.
Yeah. But you're so mad about it, and I understand why you're mad about it because you've explained it. But yeah, I don't think the look is contempt. I think it's more like just me trying to figure out. Remember the primordial ooze? I was trying to be an orbiter the way Leah was. I saw the success she had.
That look.
Yeah, I do. I remember you and your bucket of ooze.
Okay, so in that moment, the success she had was being welcomed in by him, becoming popular among like broadly, like widely known, and he defended her, and like this was, it's not like their relationship like slowly evolved. Like my relationship with him evolved. It existed for that whole period. So, well, not the most of, like, as their relationship evolved, that was when I had my relationship with him. And I genuinely saw the success that she had after going on his stream. And I was like, shit, there's if you're just interesting and you fucking go on there, I was wrong about that. You also left the DGG sphere and then left me with hanging high and dry. So I never got any of that. There's none of that that was much of a benefit to me. And he's just so contemptuous that what I got from him wasn't what he was trying to give me. And I guess he doesn't see it in this moment. I certainly didn't see that he wanted to be my fucking camp counselor until today.
I don't know what frame to answer this in though. Is this a career question or like a success with what? With me? Like interpersonal success? It feels like that's what you're saying, but you're framing it as like career success.
No, okay, no. Success with you, interpersonal success. No, you helped her. Not like successes and having a relationship with you, because I'm. That's not even like I mean success is in you're helping her as a person, not as a content creator. Because what me growing as a person, me healing from my trauma is my content. That is what you've helped me with. That is the way that you've helped me grow. And it's been really good for me. And it's nothing to do with any of this fucking camp counselor shit you're talking about. It's more like a mentor or I don't know. It's just not fucking camp counselor anyway at all. And I used you in the same way that you helped her. And it was, I mean, you didn't mean to. I guess it was all an accident, but I got it. I got to use you as my emotional ballast. Aren't camp counselors known for diddling kids?
Like,
That was a chatter. Your mind is like spinning as if I'm trying to say that I deserve like a personal close relationship with you, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the way that I've always used you isn't necessary. It's not as a personal. You don't have to be my actual dad for me to get what I want. You just have to let me and accept me and my feelings about your relationship with Leah. That's what I want. And you don't.
It's very hard for me, as I said, to respond to these curveballs, and I do think they're curveballs because they blend so many different things together that if I respond to
because it is fucking blended together,
part of it or in one frame, I'm saying something
You're acting as if my content isn't deeply personal, as if me growing into myself, making space for myself, and learning these things in part through my relationship with you, using you as a resource for that, isn't what I'm doing. Are you just?
Don't want to be sick.
I think he's just. I don't know if he's just completely in lawyer mode right now, or because he's scared. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Thing in another frame. For me, career success doesn't look the same as for Destiny or Jeff Bezos. My art is very personal. Okay.
Yeah, so you helping me grow is the thing. And being unable to talk about my relationship with you is the antithesis of the literal growth that I'm talking about. But I've always talked about my relationship with you. And you haven't been able to fucking stop me. But it seems like you don't like it. It seems like it is a nuisance. I just can't.
If you're taking out the trash and you saw Smeth, would you reach for your gun?
I can't love him.
It's not very nice.
He would.
As your stream dad, it's my obligation to tell you it's past your bedtime. If you don't go to sleep soon, I'll cut off the internet and take away your games box. That's true. It is past my bedtime. I'm just trying to resolve this with Smith real quick.
What the fuck does that mean?
You know?
I don't want to resolve shit. I don't want to fucking resolve anything. There's nothing to resolve. What the fuck are you talking about? That makes no fucking sense. Resolve what? My anger, which you said doesn't need to be resolved? What are you talking about? Where are you fucking coming from right now?
Smith, something trauma can't be resolved. Yeah, I do. Smith, I'm offering you something very valuable, and you're not accepting it. You're trying to get something else. I don't know what exactly it is, but you can have exactly what I've offered you, nothing more and nothing less. And if you want to take advantage of it, then you should. But it just seems like you're like endlessly testing it.
But that's what I wanted. You don't have to change. You don't have to do anything. You just have to let me fucking test it. That's all. That's what I want. That's what is valuable about you to me.
I had the impression. Yes.
I was pretty emotional.
That me testing it was good for me and you were there for that, but none of that is true. It's just some business thing. Well, that's confusing, what you're saying. Because on one hand, our business is personal, so you getting mad at me or criticizing me in public, that's just part of the job, or part of the art form.
No, it's part of the mentoring.
Streamers get really mad at each other and then they criticize each other in public. That always happens. And so I feel that I should handle that gracefully and be open to it, because like right now, like what's the content right now? You're freaking out at me, right? And so if I'm going to talk about this in public, people are going to watch it for entertainment or whatever reason they're watching it. it makes sense to then deal with the fallout of that, of you being mad at me. But at the same time,
Is he realizing?
you're making it sound like that's like the point of me saying like, hey, if you have questions about streaming or need career advice or want feedback or to bounce things off,
It was the point for me.
That is like an invitation to, or like not an invitation, but like I'm secretly saying you should try to see if you can twist this relationship into something. See if you can.
No, fuck you. You're just saying that out of paranoia. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I trusted you to not change your boundaries, but answer to my feelings about them. Fuck. He's
Get something else out of me and see what happens. I think that's healthy for you. I don't think it is healthy for you to do that. I think it's healthy.
And say I have to have this fucking conversation in this fucking supporter stream as like one of many people in this fucking text chat.
I think it's good that I hold those boundaries with you.
Yeah.
But I don't think trying to break them or change them is...
No. Talking about why your other public shit makes me feel insecure about them, and what your role for me is, your boundaries for me, what their role in my life is, how they're useful for me. I wasn't telling you to change your relationship with me when I asked you what's the difference between me and Leah. I was telling you I need you to help me understand what is happening, because it doesn't make sense anymore. I don't feel like your boundaries are there to protect me anymore, which is what you insisted over and over and over again. And now I don't agree. I don't believe it anymore. It's not because I always didn't believe it. Whatever fucking Jedi mind trick. It's actually because of what I'm saying. I actually am a very trusting person. But the thing is, I was using you and my relationship with you in a way that you are pretending not to understand.
Especially good for you.
And because you're in lawyer mode or something.
You're
in panic mode.
Like you haven't made any of this clear to me ever until now. I felt like you felt like you were doing something good for me by being a stable force in my life. Yeah, I do think I'm doing something good for you by being a stable force in your life. I do think that.
Okay.
But you, like a guidance counselor. Okay?
A guidance counselor just let's fucking chat GPT.
To your guidance counselor, if you say, come up to your guidance counselor and you're like, hey, I want to sit on your lap while you do our guidance counselor sessions, they'll say no, and that's the right thing to do. They're doing a good thing in your life by saying no to that. But when you're going beyond just like, oh, I'm kind of bumping against the sides of like the boundaries of
you're saying that I'm going too far.
Our relationship. Like, oh, I see where the boundaries are.
By going too far, by saying that his relationship with Leah and their shifting of boundaries and how my understanding of my boundaries with him was contextualized with his relationship with Leah, and how now he has a public and private relationship with her, has now made me unable to understand my boundaries. Not only that, but I got the sense that he cared about me, and I got the sense that his boundaries were there because he deeply cared about me. And all of that is gone because now I don't feel like he cares about me. I feel like he sees me as a fucking liability. And to any extent he cares about me is divorced from me. And like he won't engage with me, or at least he's saying that in, you know, frantic, anxious lawyer speak, that his engagement with me is divorced from caring, and it's a responsibility that he has as a streamer with fucking orbiters. There's nothing personal about it, and anything personal is only because the content is personal and he has to deal with it as a consequence. And now it's like, you're like acting like I'm being confusing.
I see what is like appropriate, not appropriate. You are smashing full force.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Into the side, so much so that I'm like, it doesn't even feel like you want me to be a guidance counselor at all. It just feels like you're railing against the boundaries themselves because you like hate them or something.
No, because it has been my way of using you as a rock so that I can grow as a person. Learning to express myself, advocate for myself, standing up for myself, make space for myself. And it's not like the only reason I'm doing that is because I trust you to hold your fucking boundaries. Also, doing that because you won't have the fucking conversation in DMs, so it forced me to have to do this shit, which becomes so much more fucking dramatic and ramps up all the emotions to high extreme, because now it's fucking content, baby. But I didn't want that to be content, that just understanding what the boundaries are. And so if you're not making space for me to understand the relationship and what the boundaries are, that's unacceptable, because that's too much of a risk to help me understand that. And the only way that I can now understand that is to now like make a shit ton of space myself and force you to by being really public and loud and, you know, angry. Well, why are you surprised?
And then it doesn't feel like I'm like a stable force that can resist kind of you being a little...
You can't... See, he's saying that he can't resist, and he's saying that...
shaky around the
boundaries.
You can't
do it.
It feels like you are actively just trying to tear down the boundaries for your own reasons, not because that helps me be your guidance counselor.
I'm not trying to fucking help you. Are you kidding me? That's why I thought I didn't have to help you. I didn't have to take care of you. I'm supposed to help you?
Counselor or help.
Smeth, Mr. Girl's boundaries have always been for Mr. Girl. Yeah. Well, they're for me in a way that I'm a liability, and technically you protect a liability by making boundaries for yourself.
Helps your career or helps anything.
Oh, let me help you helps me.
You in any way that is like the original purpose of the relationship.
And you're going to tell me what the original purpose of the relationship is.
Like a very...
He's saying this as if I knew this all along, and he's telling me now. He's defining the boundaries to me for the first time ever. For the first time ever. Now. And then the rest of this conversation, he's going to act like it was always that way.
It feels like what you're doing doesn't have anything to do with me helping you as your guidance counselor. Now that you've defined yourself and the original purpose of the relationship, it makes sense now in this moment you have defined it retroactively. Okay. I feel like I have to take care of you right now by reassuring you in some way. Okay.
Well, that's what you were asking for.
Well, I'm not asking for your reassurance. I'm trying to...
Well, then what else the fuck did you mean when you said we need to resolve this?
Square.
What
or
the?
Reconcile.
Yeah, fuck you.
Or I guess respond to like your anger about our relationship.
No. No, you're trying to like respond
okay,
to
I get
is
it now.
hard. Fuck
Okay.
that, dude. Respond to as a fucking lawyer.
And so like I'm not trying to like...
Who am I going to depend on emotionally?
It just seems like the stability that I'm offering in that role itself seems like triggering or destabilizing to you. I thought you were trying to be a ballast. How do you say that word? Ballast? Ballast?
I hate this.
And getting freaked out was me getting freaked out was the point.
Like him, like fucking telling me that it's hard for me to get angry on his stream and talking about how, like he's like as is encouraging me to fucking be able to do that and express my feelings. And then once I fucking finally do it, now he's like changing modes on me, completely switching gears on me.
That's not what a ballast is for. A ballast is to support something else. It's not, you don't just...
Yeah, me emotionally expressing myself, making space for myself. I'm squeezing this fucking mic stand.
Blessed. A child molester?
I hate this. There's me, like, emotionally
ballast,
vulnerable and raw, and him doing this shit.
Ballast. Okay. I thought you were trying to be a ballast. Okay, a ballast is not designed to be slammed into. That's like a punching bag. A ballast has a purpose of supporting something else. In this case, your artistic
growth
adventures into
personal
streaming, horror, existential streaming land, right? And so
healing.
I can be like a ballast in that I'm helping you and I'm firm and boundaried, and when things slam into me, I don't freak out. I don't drop you.
Hate you.
I don't take
you.
advantage of you. I don't lie to you.
I
don't trick you, manipulate you.
What did you say the other fucking earlier today when you're like, you're in your analogy, Leah, you are the client of the therapist, but Leah is not. And it is a limitation of therapy that you can't see your therapist having relationships with other people. Acknowledging that me seeing him have his relationship with Leah and then becoming enraged, becoming confused about our boundaries, acknowledging that that is important for me to grow as a person and I can't get that from therapy. How am I supposed to fucking read that aside from you saying that you know that this is good for me and that I should go into that? That is something that is healthy for me. But no, don't do it. Don't actually do it. What the fuck are you on?
People can do when they're in power.
Whoever this is right now talking, whoever this is, like, goofing off on his fucking phone while I'm here raw and emotional, this fucking guy sucks. There's times when Like, bring back the guy who doesn't fucking suck. Who the fuck is this? This is scared retard Max.
I'm steady. But that's different from me existing for the purpose of you slamming into
Fuck
me
you.
to see what happens. Or you. So I don't think you freaking out is the point. It's more that
point.
I can tolerate you freaking out. And I can be supportive in spite of you freaking out.
Fuck you. What? It's a limitation of therapy that I cannot see. Why even tell me that? That I am getting something from my rage at you that I can't get from therapy. Why would you even tell me that? You're acting as if you don't understand that right now. You're acting as if you don't understand that, but I know that you do. So you've shut off your brain at this point.
I think you freaking out as the point is more like...
It's incredible. You're being incredibly unempathetic and closed off and scared.
Therapist. That, I think, the therapist then is actually... That it probably actually is the point. You're not... And it's reversed.
He never offered emotional support. I don't know where your entitlement comes from. I'm angry that he acknowledged and told me specifically in this specific analogy, this in the same fucking day earlier, he told me that it is a limitation of therapy. That he's like, oh, well, the reason that your therapist doesn't make you enraged the way I make you enraged is because therapy is limited. And if only you would see your therapist having other relationships, then you would be able to learn from that because it would fill you with rage, and that is good for you. Him saying that to me as a response to my feelings does make me feel like he understands what is good for me about our relationship, and seeing the same thing that I see, understanding what I am doing and what my relationship with him is, what is healthy for me about it. And now he's just not, he's like that thought process is long gone. That's not in his mind at all right now. What is in his mind right now is, it's just a fucking lizard squirming, and it's just like your relationship with me is the same as it is with Benny and Will and Drazi.
You go to a therapist and you say, like, I want career advice, right? And they'll talk to you about your career, but really the point is, when are you going to freak out at me, and our relationship will start taking on like the characteristics of your other relationships, then we'll be able to see, well, I'll learn more about you through that. But I'm not your therapist, I'm your guidance counselor, so it's flipped. So while I can tolerate you freaking out, and I can tolerate you getting angry at me, but I think the point is to provide, reliable, stable advice or feedback about whatever. Your career.
He does just like laugh more.
Okay, Nathan. I get it. All right. The next stream.
So yeah, thanks Nathan for saving me.
Is
just helping him
Wednesday
run away.
At Nathan.
I feel utterly abandoned. If only he would have had this conversation with me earlier. And like, cause this is the first time that we're having this conversation, despite me trying to have it many times. And despite him reassuring me that his boundaries are for me, making me feel like he cares about me deeply, and that like, it's just, his sense of responsibility for me was just self-preservation and selfish. I think we even had talks about how his care for me was unconditional and that nothing can undermine it. And now he's talking about how, like, I'm destroying it by being angry. Start copying Destiny's aesthetic to piss him off. Okay. Well, this stream was a fucking stream, huh?
Now won't you listen, dearie, while I say, how can you tell me that you're going away? Don't say that we must part. Don't break
Stream's over.
my aching heart. You know I've loved you truly many years. I love you night and day. How can you leave me? Can't you see my tears? Listen while I say, after you've gone and left me crying, after you've gone, there's no denying. You feel blue, you feel sad, you miss the dearest pal that you ever had. And there'll come a time, now don't forget it, there'll come a time when you'll regret it. Someday, when you grow lonely, your heart will break like mine. You'll want me only after you've gone, after you've gone away. Oh, after the years we've been together, the joy and tears and all kinds of weather. Someday, blue and downhearted, you'll long to be with me right back where you started. After I'm gone, after I'm gone away.
Have a good night.